Just revealed. Caught red-handed, the Rolex thief behind Yu Menglong's missing USB. Secrets were hidden inside that stolen device. And why was it worth risking everything to take? The suspense deepens. The mystery grows darker. And the truth may be more explosive than anyone imagined. Let's join Red Carpet Revealed to uncover and explore it right now. The surveillance footage was grainy. Almost ordinary at first glance. A dimly lit office. A desk stacked with papers. The faint hum of a security camera recording late into the night. And then, suddenly, an elegant wrist adorned with a gleaming Rolex slid into view. The hand moved with precision, confidence. As if its owner had rehearsed the moment 100 times. Fingers curled around a small, inconspicuous USB drive. Slipped it into a pocket, and vanished. It was over in seconds. Those few seconds changed everything. When the clip leaked to the public, the response was immediate and ferocious. The Rolex thief. Headlines screamed. Hashtags exploded across platforms. Coming to the top of trending lists within hours, Rolex hand, USB scandal. Yu Menglong mystery. The case, already drenched in controversy and whispered rumors, now had a smoking gun, or rather, the image of a stolen one. That USB was no ordinary piece of plastic and metal. It was rumored to contain the most damning evidence in the Yu Menglong scandal. Evidence that could topple reputations, destroy careers, and unravel networks of influence woven through the entertainment world. Why was the Rolex such a crucial clue? Because it was no ordinary accessory. It was a status symbol. A mark of wealth and power. The kind of watch worn not by a desperate petty thief but by someone with means. Someone who believed they were untouchable. Social media users zoomed in on screenshots of the watch, cross-referencing with paparazzi photos, red carpet appearances, and magazine spreads. Theories multiplied. Was it a gift? A signature accessory? Or a deliberate taunt left behind by someone arrogant enough to flaunt their identity? As speculation grew, so did the legend of the missing USB. What exactly was inside it? Different factions of the public imagined different scenarios. Some swore it contained financial records linking Yu Menglong to shadowy investors. Others claimed it held private recordings, conversations, videos. Secrets so dangerous that exposure would mean the end of multiple careers. A darker faction whispered of blackmail material. Evidence of corruption that reached far beyond the entertainment industry into politics and business. But what no one could deny was the symbolism. That single act of theft, frozen in surveillance footage, turned the scandal from whispers into a global obsession. Suddenly, Yu Menglong's personal downfall became the stage for a much larger drama, an underworld of secrets, betrayals, and powerful players willing to risk everything to keep the truth hidden. The case had already gripped the nation before the Rolex thief appeared. Yu Menglong, once adored for his boyish charm and effortless performances, had been spiraling. Allegations of backroom deals, financial misconduct, and betrayal of trusted colleagues had stripped away the glossy image. His fans, torn between disbelief and heartbreak, clung to memories of his earlier years even as the tide of public opinion turned against him. Then came Tong Yaren's desperate airport flee, another moment caught on camera, another symbol of panic in the face of looming exposure. Now, with a missing USB, the scandal had reached a fever pitch. Authorities moved quickly, at least in public statements. They promised to identify the Rolex thief, to retrieve the stolen USB, to restore faith in the investigation. But the public was skeptical. Too many times before, scandals involving powerful figures had been buried under excuses, sealed files, and forgotten headlines. This time felt different. This time, the footage was undeniable. Shared millions of times across phones and screens. Impossible to erase. Journalists dug into the background of the Rolex clue. Certain models, they pointed out, were rare, custom designed, or released in limited editions. The glint in the footage suggested a model associated with elite circles, one favored by business moguls and celebrities alike. Did that mean the thief was one of them? Or could it be a deliberate misdirection? A staged theft designed to shift suspicion? Every possibility fueled more headlines, each more sensational than the last. Meanwhile, inside the industry, fear spread like wildfire. Producers whispered about projects suddenly halted. Sponsors withdrew support overnight. Terrified of being linked to the scandal, actors and actresses deleted old photos with Yu Menglong from their feeds. Desperate to distance themselves, The Rolex thief had not just stolen a USB, they had stolen the fragile sense of stability that the industry clung to, exposing how fragile the foundations of fame really were. Online, the debates raged with religious fervor. Some insisted the Rolex hand belonged to a rival actor, someone with motive to protect themselves by burying evidence. Others claimed it was an insider, perhaps even a longtime friend of Menglong, who betrayed him at the last moment. This theory suggested government involvement, foreign agents, or even staged drama by the media itself to keep ratings high. In this storm of speculation, truth and rumor fused until even seasoned analysts struggled to separate fact from fiction. For the fans, however, the focus was visceral. They replayed the footage endlessly, pausing at every frame, dissecting every angle. Like that. Who carried themselves with that particular blend of confidence and calculation? Amateur detectives emerged overnight, stitching together timelines, watch collections, alibis. Their findings, often exaggerated or misguided, only added to the chaos, but also made the Rolex thief into a mythical figure, a character larger than life. As the investigation deepened, one question loomed above all: what happened to the USB? Some insiders hinted it had already been copied, sold to the highest bidder, or smuggled abroad. Others suggested it had been destroyed. Secrets buried forever. But in the absence of answers, USB became a ghost, haunting every discussion, every news cycle. People spoke of it as if it were a weapon, a key capable of blowing the scandal wide open or locking it away forever. And through it all, Menglong remained silent. Absence was as loud as the footage itself. Did he know the identity of the Rolex thief? Was he complicit in the theft? Or was he its victim? His silence gave birth to more speculation, more theories, more suspicion. Every day without a statement added to the sense that something enormous was being concealed. The scandal was no longer confined to entertainment columns. Politicians were asked about it in press briefings. Financial regulators were grilled about possible connections to money laundering. International outlets picked up the story, naming it as a symbol of corruption and secrecy in a glittering industry. What began as gossip about an actor's personal life had grown into a cultural moment, a symbol of the dangers of unchecked fame and influence. As this saga drew to a close, one image lingered in the minds of millions: the Rolex hand reaching into the frame, stealing not just a USB but the fragile possibility of truth. The investigation was far from over. Suspects were being narrowed down, motives were being uncovered, and the world was holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the identity of the thief, and the contents of that USB, would finally be revealed. The cliffhanger was unbearable. Suspense electric. The Rolex thief had become more than a figure in a scandal. Become the embodiment of power, secrecy, and betrayal. And in the next stage of this unfolding drama, the mask would begin to slip, revealing the faces behind the hand that stole the truth. The world had already gasped at the sight of the Rolex-clad hand stealing Menglong's missing USB. What followed in the days after turned the scandal from a shocking mystery into a full-blown saga of betrayal, power, and secrets too dangerous to remain hidden. Footage was no longer just a clip, it had become evidence, a cultural phenomenon, and a weapon, with the truth dangling just beyond reach. The hunt for the Rolex thief consumed the nation. Authorities insisted the investigation was moving swiftly. We are narrowing down suspects, official announced at a press conference, though the evasive tone left reporters unsatisfied. Behind the scenes, whispers painted a darker picture. The USB had not yet been recovered. It remained missing was another day in which its contents, whatever they were, could be copied, sold, or used as leverage in backroom deals. Thief's silence was louder than any public statement. Suspects quickly became the focus of speculation. Social media detectives identified three potential figures: a wealthy businessman long rumored to bankroll entertainment projects, a rival actor with ties to Menglong's past, insider close enough to bypass security. Each had motive. Each had opportunity. Each, curiously, had been photographed at one time or another wearing a Rolex that looked eerily similar to the one captured in the surveillance footage. The businessman was said to have invested heavily in Menglong's career, expecting astronomical returns that never materialized. The rival actor carried a grudge, his own career overshadowed by Yu's meteoric rise. Insider, however, was the most chilling theory. If true, The thief wasn't an outsider breaking in, it was someone trusted. Someone who moved within Yu Menglong's circle as naturally as family. Betrayal of that magnitude made the story even darker, transforming the scandal into a Shakespearean tragedy of loyalty, greed, and deception. But what was truly inside the stolen USB? Theories ran rampant. Financial journalists suggested it contained banking records tracing millions of dollars in offshore accounts. Entertainment insiders whispered it held casting couch evidence, recordings of conversations that could bring down more than one star. A darker faction insisted it contained state secrets. Information too explosive to ever reach the light of day. The truth was elusive. But the belief that it could topple entire empires made the Rolex thief not just a criminal but a gatekeeper of fate. As the hunt intensified, the role of Tong Yaon resurfaced. Her desperate airport flee just weeks earlier now looked less like an unrelated panic and more like a prelude to the theft. Had she known about the USB? Was she trying to escape before it vanished? Or after? Investigators reportedly questioned her again. Closed doors, fueling even more speculation. Porters defended her as an innocent victim. But critics argued she was entangled deeper than anyone wanted to admit. Her silence, broken only by carefully worded legal statements, little to calm the storm. Meanwhile, Yu Menglong remained in hiding. His absence was infuriating to the public, who demanded answers. Orchestrating the theft from behind the scenes? Or was he as blindsided as the rest of the world? His representatives released a brief statement denying involvement. The vagueness only made things worse. Every word was dissected. The omission treated as evidence. If he truly was innocent, why wasn't he fighting harder to clear his name? Media, sensing blood, turned the Rolex thief into a mythic figure. And screamed of the phantom with a golden watch. Talk shows invited body language experts to analyze the way the hand moved in the footage. Some claimed the thief was left-handed. Others insisted the precise movement suggested military training. The more the footage was examined, the less clear the answers became. And the more the thief grew into a shadowy legend. The real damage was happening behind closed doors. Action companies scrambled to protect themselves, tearing up contracts and issuing gag orders to anyone connected to Yu Menglong. Sponsors fled. International distributors reconsidered deals. Scandal was no longer entertainment gossip, it was an economic earthquake. Billions of dollars hung in the balance because of a stolen USB and the Rolex thief who held its secrets. The whispers grew darker still. Some claimed the USB had already changed hands, sold for an astronomical sum in a secretive deal. Said it had been destroyed, ensuring its secrets would never see daylight. Yet the most chilling theory was that it had been duplicated. Its contents now in the possession of multiple players, each waiting for the perfect moment to strike. If true, the fallout could last years. Revelations trickling out piece by piece, prolonging the scandal indefinitely. Pressure mounted for justice. Protesters gathered outside studios and government offices, holding signs demanding the thief be exposed. Online, vigilantes threatened to leak personal data of suspected figures. The frenzy had spiraled beyond control, and still, the Rolex thief remained at large. Their identity shielded by silence, secrecy, and power. Then came the most explosive twist yet. A new leak suggested that the Rolex thief was not acting alone. A shadowy network of individuals, spanning business, media, and politics, had allegedly orchestrated a theft together. Rolex-clad hand may have stolen a USB, but behind it stood a group willing to stop at nothing to bury the truth. If this was true, then catching the thief was not the end of the story, it was only the beginning of uncovering a conspiracy that stretched far wider than anyone dared imagine. By now, the scandal had consumed everything in its path. Yu Menglong's career lay in ruins. The iron's image was battered. The industry was paralyzed. Yet still, the public waited for the one revelation that mattered most. Who was the Rolex thief? The investigation, authorities promised, was closing in. But no arrests came. No names were confirmed. Instead, the thief's legend only grew, until they were no longer just a suspect but a symbol of everything corrupt, hidden, and dangerous in the world of fame. Conclusion of this saga was not a neat resolution but a haunting realization. The Rolex thief had stolen more than a USB. They had stolen certainty, truth, and justice. Footage of that hand reaching into the frame had become a metaphor for the entire scandal, Power reaching out to snatch evidence from the light, pulling it back into the shadows. The world, left watching, could only ask the same chilling question: was the thief protecting Yu Menglong, or protecting themselves from a truth too explosive to survive? The story remains unfinished. Questions unresolved. The Rolex thief is still out there. Missing USB continues to haunt the imagination of millions, until the day the truth finally comes to light. Scandal will remain a dark mirror of an industry built on secrets, fame, and the fragile illusion of perfection. And so, the cameras freeze on that one unforgettable image, a gleaming Rolex catching the light, a hand closing around the USB, and a scandal spiraling into legend. The Yu Menglong scandal has become more than a case of betrayal. It is now a symbol of power, corruption, and secrets too dangerous to surface. The Rolex thief may have stolen a simple USB. That moment, they stole truth itself, plunging an entire industry into chaos, until the real identity is revealed and the missing evidence resurfaces. This saga will remain etched as one of the darkest, captivating mysteries in entertainment history. Thank you for joining Red Carpet Revealed as we uncovered every shocking twist. Your curiosity and support drive us to bring the hidden truths to light. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because the next revelation might be closer than anyone dares to imagine.